would it be too far to say that what a parent could take from this kind of conversation of a child would be uh, one of the very best things that one can do for one's child is to try to become more aware, more mindful oneself as a parent, more inwardly quiet, but not as a technique or method, but as part of one's own search. So among the best things a parent could do for a child would be to work on themselves without even worrying about the child from that point of view. And that it's the being, the parent is distracted constantly, is worried, is frazzled, has to do 10 things at once, is helpless, feels despair, feels frustrated, whatever. We know what parenting is like. But even a little bit of that inner work, like a tincture of a magic substance, has an action on themselves. If they're taking seriously in some way their own inner world, I would think, I hope it's not too idealistic to say, but I would think that can have an action on the child that is very beneficent. So I think your work with parents as well as their children is really a crucial part of what you're doing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so indebted to some of the women that taught me in this respect. I don't think I ever got a more amazing lesson than from José de Salzman, and she was somebody who could she could just take you to pieces like nobody else. But until she thought you were finally kind of paying the right kind of attention, then she'd maybe let you breathe. But
then she'd let you breathe.
Yeah. Maybe. But she said an extraordinary thing once, and I've always gone with this. She said they all had to tell the parents, these are people who were in the Gurdjieff work, they had to say, don't try to remember yourself in front of your child. You'll scare them to death. When you're in front of your child, just be yourself. So what I say to my parents is, look, you've been thought addicted your whole life, and you've gotten by fine.
Thought addicted your whole life.
Thought addicted just means a normal American.
Yeah.
So you've been a normal American thinking away all your life. So when you're around your child, if there's any eye contact, I want you thinking. Just thinking and thought addicted, and just the way I don't want you making any kind of other effort. But if you're looking away from your child, or if your child's looking away from you, then's a good time to try to feel. So that was one. And the other one was from Peggy Flinch.
That's very practical.
Yeah. The other one was from Peggy Flinch. I tell all the parents that. Peggy Flinch, in a group she had with Lois Bree, one time there was a young woman who was going on and on. Oh, Mrs. Flinch, I can't do this, and I have so much I have to do. I have to go to the work. My job, my husband, blah, 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 blah. So Mrs. Flinch looked at her and said, well, how old are your children? And she said, well, I have one that's 7 and one that's 9. So then apparently Mrs. Flinch said, well, okay, do you have 10 minutes every day? And the young woman said, of course. And then so Mrs. Flinch said, okay, well then you'll give each child 5 minutes, but they must be real minutes.
Thank you very much. I think this hour shows how a conversation between two people trying to listen to each other and speaking about really essential questions can really, all by itself, evolve into something quite beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.